Welcome to another reading from the Science of Mind magazine, the Daily Guides. Coming to the end of May. It's kind of hard to believe this year seems to have gone a little faster than usual. But when you kind of look back at things, it really hasn't. It's just an illusion. Today's reading is called The Ripple Effects of Small Loving Acts. It's coincidental, maybe not coincidental, that our Toastmasters meeting today, the theme was, guess what? It was unconditional love or unconditional anything. I think it's kind of ironic that we're talking about small loving acts here, and then we're talking about unconditional loving acts. My senior minister, Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings, would say that in any human condition, unconditional anything is impossible because there's always a condition for doing something. There's always a reason, if you like, for doing something. There's always an attachment to it. Well, I'm not going to argue with that here. I'm just going to go through and start reading what Diana Ensign, our writer this month, has got to say. And then I'll come back. I've got a couple of comments. Actually, I've got an example. How about that? I think an example is always good. This is what she says. First quote is from someone you all heard of, J.J.R. Tolkien, from his, I think it was his first book, The Hobbit. I don't know if he wrote that as a prequel or if he actually wrote it before the Ring series, but anyway, here it is. I have found that in the small everyday deeds of ordinary folks that keep, I have found that I'll start again. I have found that it is the small everyday deeds of ordinary folks that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. As I said, that was J.J.R. Tolkien from The Hobbit, and of course he wrote that series for his kids. And Ernest Holmes says, I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. And that's actually from his What I Believe. And Ernest Holmes was really into telling people that love really was the foundation for everything. But he's also open to the fact, he said, one thing about made his philosophy, his teaching, if you like, different than most others, is he said he wanted it to be open at the top. In other words, he said, this is not the final answer. This is what I know right now, or this is what I believe right now. But other people are going to come along who will know more than I do, who will be able to introduce more things I have thought of. That's one thing I really like about the Science of Mind philosophy. And this is from Diana. She says, we may think that positively influencing the world requires some large-scale, grand accomplishment. Our culture tends to hold up famous people such as athletes, actors, religious leaders, etc., as examples of noteworthy heroes. I would add, saints to that, because I don't think a religious leader and a saint are the same thing. Definitely not. We may think we can't possibly measure up because our lives are not publicly acknowledged on such an epic scale. Or worse, we might believe our actions don't matter because we are each just one person. Actually, nothing could be further from the truth. Think about your life and the people who influenced you over the many years. Chances are a key friend, a teacher, a relative, a mentor, or perhaps even a stranger guided you in a helpful way that significantly altered your life's trajectory. Consider the small gestures you have greatly appreciated, such as a kind word at the funeral of a loved one, or a handwritten note of congratulations. We don't really do enough of that these days. My wife and I still write cards and send them to people, or give them to people, but I've noticed I get loads and loads of stuff through the internet, whether it's on Facebook or some other medium. Like happy birthday, I'll probably get a thousand, but they're just online. The number of cards I get is diminished to like three or four, and even my closest relatives don't really send them. And then she continues, she says, or maybe it was a conversation with someone who told you how much they love you or how proud they are of you. And I've got to say one thing. Reverend Dr. Jesse Jennings, who gave the talk on Sunday at our spiritual center, Creative Life, gave me a compliment, and I was really appreciative that he's pretty good about giving people compliments where they're deserved. Diana goes on to say, our acts of kindness, compassion, and love often benefits people more than we know. Even small acts of kindness towards strangers may result in them remembering our deeds for years to come without ever knowing our names. All of these loving actions ripple out in the world. They don't require us to be rich. They don't require us to be influencers on social media. They don't require us to be famous. What they require is that we have enough kindness, compassion, and love in our hearts that we're able to willingly share it with others. And I love those stories of people who pay it forward. You know, somebody may be in the grocery store and they see that somebody behind them is kind of struggling to get the money together to pay for the groceries. And by the time they get up there to pay for them, lo and behold, the person in front of them has paid their bill. In the old days, and not too long ago, by the way, when the toll roads, you didn't just fly through it and it registered it automatically on something on your windshield or on your bumper, but you actually had to stop and pay a toll. How often people had actually paid the toll for the person behind them? It's really those kind of acts, I think, that she's talking about here today. And I've got to say that the people who influenced me were the ones who often showed a lot of loving kindness. I'm trying to think, there was an example recently of somebody who did something really good. They helped somebody, and then they actually paid for something for them. I forgot what it was. If I remember by tomorrow, I'll just repeat it again. So, because I think that stories underscore what's going on. You know, people in my life have helped me a lot. You know, the late great Reverend Marshall Lehman helped me tremendously. The late Bob Proctor helped me a lot. But ordinary people in my lives have helped me a lot. So I'm just grateful. So I think what I want to add on to this reading today is yes, let's all think about doing something loving for somebody else. And it may just be writing them a note. And although I've been kind of disparaging the internet, hey, an email message to somebody is better than no message, right? A text is better than no text. A message on WhatsApp is better than no message. So I'm going to think of somebody to whom I can send an uplifting word today. And it may be a written note, it may be a spoken word to somebody. I may pick up the phone and just talk to somebody and say, hey, you've helped me today. But my job before the end of the day today is to think of somebody to whom I'm grateful and to thank them. And it could be an email, it could be a text, it could be a WhatsApp, it could be a phone call, it could be actual physical notes, it could be a person to person thing. How about that? A person to person thing. So that's my job for today. What is yours? What is yours? What is yours to do today? The affirmation that Diana gives us is I fill my heart with love. I share my loving kindness with others. I fill my heart with love. I share my loving kindness, my love and my kindness with others. So look out for Reverend Lisa on Creative Life Spiritual Center's Facebook page tomorrow at 9:15-ish. Look out for me in whatever medium you say this. come around about 5 tomorrow. And if you miss it, it doesn't really matter because it's recorded. It's recorded on all these things, so you can watch it again. And once again, I am just grateful that I'm able to read and then deliver these uplifting messages every day. And I promise you, if there's something in there that's not uplifting, that's really down and beating people up, I am either not going to read it or I'm going to change it and comment on it. And that's all I got for today. So, and hopefully next time you see me, I will have figured out how to put the background on here because it only accepts JPEGs and some other file format that I don't use. So I'm going to figure out how to do that. So please take care of yourselves. And until next time, namaste.